It's your boy Amreezy, and I'm back with another Road to Sorare Boss episode where we follow my journey in the wonderful world of Sorare. We follow my journey, we look at my team lineups, we talk all things Sorare, we have a good time. If that sounds like your cup of tea, get comfortable. We do like to have a cup of tea while we're enjoying these streams, so if you've not got your cup of tea yet, pause the video, go make that tea. You know how we do, people. While the video is paused, if you could give it a like and a subscribe, be a massive help to me. Unpause the video, tea in hand, sitting back. I hope you're comfortable. Let's talk Sora. We're just in the middle of an international break. We're coming out of an international break. I can see the horizon of club football on the horizon. Just as the European leagues had come back, they take it away from us, give us an international break. And if you're someone like me who doesn't have that many Sorare cards, not been playing for over a year, so international breaks are terrible. I don't It's not really, if you've been playing under a year, I wouldn't encourage you to focus on the international tournaments. It seems like even Sorare pros who have huge galleries and do play international breaks a bit more seriously, even there you see them on Twitter or X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. You see them on Reddit. You see them everywhere, sort of saying things like how hard international breaks are to predict, lineups. Sometimes players get rested. If it's friendlies, it's even worse. So, international breaks coming to an end. I had a very quiet period. I did say in last week's video I wasn't expecting anything from my lineups. That was correct. Nothing won, very little to report. So that part of this week's episode will be slightly shorter. However, preview for next week's video should be nice and juicy because all the leagues are coming back at the weekend. Club football's coming back, so that'll be exciting. So let's start off with the not so exciting bit. Let's review last week where it was a boring international break. Let's see how I did last weekend. I mean, would you look at the absolute state of the I usually put my four best scores up on the screen here. There's only two this week, and they're all both under 300, which is never fun. So that kind of shows you what kind of a week it was. There were some special competitions, which I kind of half-heartedly entered. There was an all-star special where you could pick players from any country, and there was a fighting special where players that got yellow cards and red cards, I think, got extra points. So I put two semi-serious lineups out here with why I knew I was going to have DMP goalkeeper in all of my lineups. These four players I thought maybe would play. It's worth saying these two boys at Burgos are doing really well this year. Burgos in the Spanish second division look like they're going to do really well, maybe win the league, challenge for promotion. So I'm expecting a big thing from these two cards this year. They're going to be, maybe this is my best contender striker, Sancris, and one of my best contender midfielders, Sanchez. And I love playing them together because they always seem to kind of, if one scores, one assists, or the other way around. So these two boys had a good week because they did play during the international break, and he got 116 points, Sancris. So that's promising for going forward in the contender division. This could be a great card to play. Kovacic has been a good player for Manchester City this season, but with Rodri coming back from injury soon, with Gundogan rejoining Man City, we don't know how we're feeling on Rodri. However, in international breaks, he's still a great card to have, and he helps with my Chelsea bonus, so delighted still to have Rodri. 66 from him, not the most exciting score. Cucurella didn't play for Spain. Did think maybe after his good Euros with Spain, he'd walk into this team, but Spain, international breaks. You never know what they're going to do. Chop and change, rotate, try different players. So he didn't play, so this team was completely let down. I needed all four to smash and do really well to make up for the DMP goalkeeper. Same with this special. I knew the goalkeeper wasn't going to be playing, although Castamina, really good contender goalkeeper, having a great season. Again, similar to the Burgos boys in Spain, in the second division. He's in the second division in Germany, doing really well. So hopefully you can have a great year. These four cards, I needed all to get 100. None of them got 100. Can you believe it? So nothing to report there. And that was literally it. Then there were training lineups and other lineups that I put out here that were just kind of to build experience. Weren't really serious lineups. So yeah, that's how I did last week. I was saying last week how I'm going to be using this international break to, rather than focus on the lineups, pick up a few cards, look for bargains, and the bargains that I found, they could be potential bargains, are Everton. Everton are a team that, let's organize by the newest cards. Everton are a team that I'm going to be going for in the coming few weeks. Basically, I'm going to gamble that Everton sort their act out because a few of the card prices have come down. People have lost faith in Everton after the 3 games. And the last game, I think, was really unfortunate. Everton lost when they should have won. They lost 3-2. And it sounds bad they threw a game away, but if you see the game, if you see the highlights, they were dominating. And if they keep playing like they did in the last game, even though it was a harsh result, they'll pick their form back up. Plus, Everton do this every year. They always start the season slow, and then they somehow manage to survive relegation. So, with that kind of formula in mind, and my knowing of how Premier League seasons goes, I'm going to bank on Everton this year as a kind, not a full stack like I have Chelsea and West Ham. Everton are going to be more of a kind of pick 1 or 2 cards, and then if they get relegated, they'll be amazing in the Championship next season. If they don't get relegated, there'll be good scores to be had against easier teams this year. So, with that in mind, I bought Tarkowski, Jared Braithwaite, James Garner. They're the 3 cards I bought in this international break. And I have Dwight McNeil already. So I've got 4 Everton cards now, where when they have a good game, maybe not so much Tarkowski, but Braithwaite and Garner, I don't expect them both to be staying at Everton for much longer. I think they could both get bigger moves. Branthwaite, I call him Braithwaite sometimes. Branthwaite was linked with Manchester United in the summer. It seems like they just didn't want to pay as much money. But again, if Everton get relegated, buy Branthwaite, buy Garner, they're gone. Tarkowski, solid player. A little bit old now, but still got a couple of years at the top. Solid defender. So, this has been my international break move. Get a mini Everton stack and then see how they do in the coming weeks. I also picked up a Harold Preciado for 36p just to help my Santos collection. And Calvin Phillips, I was saying last week, he's another little gamble I've taken this international break. Just because I think, there's a player there. Could he get some form going at Ipswich? Let's see. He made his debut for Ipswich before the international break. Let's see how he does after the international break. I do have quite a few cards who have moved during the transfer window deadline that didn't play last week because it was a little bit too early for them. I've got James Ward-Prowse. He moved to Nottingham Forest. Let's see how he does. That could be a good card for me. I have Chalobah, my Chelsea card Chalobah, moved to Crystal Palace. Let's see if he can come straight into the lineup this week coming up. Or I've not put him in any of my lineups, but let's see how he does. I've also got goalkeeper cards Kepa, Ramsdale, and Johnston. All got Premier League moves. They all made their debuts in the last week. I didn't put them in any of my lineups because I wasn't sure if they were going to play. But now that those 3 cards are all Premier League goalkeepers, I can now go forward with a bit more confidence in Kepa, Ramsdale, and Johnston. So, looking forward to post-international break. Sorry, I think it's going to be, we have the transfer window closed. We know what the teams are now. I've got players like Soleil that stayed, that didn't move. I've got cards like Omar Soleil, who once again had a transfer window where he was expected to leave and didn't leave. So let's see if he gets his place back in the RB team. Let's see how long it takes him to get up and running. He hasn't played for them all this season, I think because they expected him to leave maybe. Let's hope he gets it back into the first team, because when he's in the first team, these are the kind of scores we can expect. So hopefully, I'm kind of glad he stayed, because if he can get back to these scores, that's a great card. The other card who's a little bit like that, who was expected to move but didn't move, was Santiago Jimenez. He's staying in Eredivisie. So again, if he can stay in Eredivisie and keep coming up with scores like these scores that he's been doing so far, 87, if he can do more of that, young striker, hopefully big season from him. So I've got a few cards that I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do after the international break. I've also got cards like Raheem Sterling, who's gone to Arsenal. I bought him for £18. You can buy him for like 2p now, not literally 2p, but I bought him 10 months ago. One of the first big cards that I bought when he was had some good form at Chelsea. But now he's at Arsenal. Let's see how he does. Maybe he makes that left wing place his own. They have Martinelli, they have Trossard. If Sterling can get a couple of good games under his belt, maybe he's a Champions League option. Maybe he's a cup competition option. Let's see what we do. So I've got quite a few cards that have moved that I'm interested to see how they do. The likes of James Ward-Prowse. I've got cards like Sterling, who let's see how they do at their new clubs. And I've got a couple of Everton boys. So let's see how they do. That's how last week went. Let's now take a look at my lineups for the coming weekend. Okay, here we go. These are my lineups for the weekend, which is September the 13th to the 17th. So the weekend coming up, these are my lineups, and we have a special competition, an Mbappe FC fantasy football style weekly competition that Sorare have announced. It seems very exciting. You can pick 4 common cards, 4 free to play cards like these ones, and then 1 paid card basically. So I'm going to be playing this week with Liverpool in mind as my kind of team that I'm banking to do well. They're playing Nottingham Forest at home. I've been really impressed by the start Liverpool have made. And I think looking at who had the easier fixtures, as well as what cards I had, that was a big thing. Yes, there are teams that maybe have easier fixtures. Maybe I could have gone for Manchester City. Maybe I could have gone for some of the Bundesliga teams with easier games like Bayern Munich. But I just felt I needed one card that fitted my strategy here. And Andy Robertson is a card that should play for Liverpool. And I'm kind of banking. I think most people will be going for attacking formations. So I'm trying to be a little bit different here. Maybe that gives me an edge. I'm going to be going for Liverpool's defense. So I'm going to be going for the goalkeeper from Liverpool and Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. And then I'm going to go with Salah alongside them as captain. Then I'm going to be playing, I didn't want to go 5 Liverpool cards just because I thought, I feel like 5 stacks. There's always one guy that lets you down. And I just think if Liverpool do well, like they should at Nottingham Forest, the defense should do well, Salah should do well, goalkeeper should do well, and then I just didn't have a card that I was sure would be the 5th player, like Jota, Diaz, Gakpo, those kind of players. So I thought safer to just pick another team. So I'm going to be going for Bayern Munich, Musiala, Bayern Munich. He started the season well. Bayern look okay. It's a fairly easy game for Bayern Munich. It is away, which I think might throw a few people. Maybe some people won't bank on Bayern Munich as much. So maybe Musiala is kind of a mini differential from the big hitters. So that's the team I'm going to go for this new Mbappe competition. Then we go to this special competition where it's a cap 270 this week as the special competition. So these lineups are basically cards that I didn't want to put in other lineups that I kind of think are okay. I never take the specials as seriously as I do the contender division and the Premier League division. So with that in mind, I'm going to be going for this lineup. Kepa has Chelsea away. He's going to be playing his old team. Maybe, I'm pretty sure he's playing. I half checked. If he's not playing, it's still the same. I'm going to be not taking these lineups so seriously. So it'll be a DMP goalkeeper. But I'm pretty sure he plays because the loan rules now, you can play against your parent club. Then I've got Ravic, who usually I would play in my under 23 lineup, but I'm playing him because they've got a tricky game against Genk. So I've put him in this lineup for that reason. Sterling, I don't think Sterling will play for Arsenal, but he might come off the bench. Maybe chips in with an assist or a goal. So Brunetta not been doing so great. Again, Gallagher new. These are all, Dwight McNeil has a hard fixture. Chelsea defence, I'm never fully certain on, so that's why Kukureya's here. Ramsdale, hard fixture at Manchester United. Fabianski, I don't think is going to play, because Areola came off injured in the West Ham's last game, but he did travel with the France international team, and it does seem he'll be back in the team. If for some reason West Ham wanted to take him easy, Fabianski maybe gets a game. That's why he's in the ultimate gamble lineup, which is this one. The more serious lineups are my Premier League lineups, which I'm going to be going for. So I'm going to be going for a West Ham lineup as my kind of not as serious one, and a mixed lineup with a few Chelsea faces as my kind of more famous, not famous, although they are the famous CFC. But this is the more serious lineup. Nick Pope in goal. Newcastle started the season okay. They're playing Wolves away, but Wolves have started the season really bad. So could be a good score for Nick Pope. I'm going to be playing Daniel Munoz, who hasn't had the best start of the season. Crystal Palace haven't had the best start of the season, but in the last week, I saw enough promise in Crystal Palace against Chelsea. They put a spirited performance against Chelsea, got a draw. Now they've got Leicester at home. I think this is when Crystal Palace start their season. So with that in mind, Daniel Munoz I'm going to be playing. Then I'm going to be going for 3 Chelsea cards, which is a little bit of a risk because you never really know how Chelsea are going to perform. They've not really had a consistent start to the season. They've looked good. They looked really good in the first half against Crystal Palace, but then the second half of the Crystal Palace, it looked like how they were when they were bad last season. They've won, they've drawn, they've lost. So Let's see which Chelsea line turns up this week. They have had an international break for rest for some of the players and travels for some of the players. Let's see how they come back. But I'm going to be going for Madueke, Enzo Fernandez, and Cole Palmer. They're the three cards that I think have started the season the best and should be in the starting lineup. I don't know who's going to play on the left wing. It could be Sancho. It could be Pedro Neto. I don't know who's going to be playing up front. It could be Jackson. It could be Nkunku. But based on how they've been playing so far, I think Madueke, Enzo Fernandez, and Cole Palmer should be playing. You never know after an international break. There's always a surprise rest. There's always some surprise selections after an international break. But I just have to go on what I think should play. Logic. Reason. So that's going to be my main Premier League lineup. My second one is going to be a West Ham stack of 5. They're playing Fulham away, which isn't the easiest fixture, but Fulham haven't started the season that convincing. So I'm hoping West Ham go to Fulham with a point to prove. Areola, Kilman, Souček is a little bit of a will he play? He started the season well, Souček, which is making me think he will play. But the West Ham do have players returning from injury. He has had a good scoring in his international break, and he was putting some good scores in the league. So I'm hoping he has a really big game for West Ham. And then Bowen and Kudos. Why not? So that's going to be my 2 Premier League lineups. I'm not going to be putting a third because I don't feel fully confident on 5 cards of the Premier League lineup. And I think if I put out a bad lineup, they'll just get relegated. So it's not like these lineups where I won't get any relegation, so I feel a bit free to play. I don't really want to put out a bad lineup. So I'm going to be going for these 2, which I feel fairly confident in. Champion. And what do we see here? A Premier League goalkeeper making his way into the champion lineup. Get used to that. I've got 3 Premier League cards here in my champion lineup that I didn't feel confident enough putting in a Premier League lineup. I couldn't find 2 cards to go with them. However, I do find 2 champion cards to go alongside them. So Sam Johnson in goal for Wolves at home. Maybe if Newcastle aren't fully firing after an international break, Wolves could keep this a low-scoring game. If they do, Sam Johnstone is in goal. Emerson is one West Ham defender that I couldn't play here. I've got more confidence in Max Kilman. However, Emerson's played every game so far this season at left-back for West Ham. So there's no reason why that shouldn't continue. So Emerson will play here. Nicholas Jackson, I'm going to captain because I do have a little bit of a hunch that Nicholas Jackson will start. He's been okay this season. He's got a lot of service from creative midfielders. If that continues, Bournemouth away, Nicholas Jackson could pick up a good score. And then the 2 outright champion cards who I'm going to be playing are Ibrahim Sissoko, who has made an okay start to the season. Well, I say okay start. He's made a bad start to the season, but he had 1 good score here. So maybe he gets back up and running. He is playing 90 minutes still, even though his scores aren't remaining. He's playing 90 minutes for Brest, and let's see. He's a gamble. And then Palhinha at Bayern Munich again. He didn't start the season, but he seems like he's played a few minutes for Bayern Munich. He played against Freiburg, so I'm not certain if he's going to play. Maybe he comes off the bench, but let's see. It's still very early, so I'm kind of gambling with Palhinha that after the international break, Company kind of puts him in the team and sticks with him. If he doesn't, I probably won't play him next week. This is a kind of 1-week punt for Palhinha. Challenger, it's Bilal in goal. It's Thiago Silva as captain, having a great season. Thiago Silva putting some great scores together. Look at these scores: 63, 94, 61, 68. So hoping it's another 94 from him. And if that happens, captain. Then I'm going to play Yanni Stukas, who I have been playing in my under-23 lineups this season, but his last 3 scores have been quite good: 70, 75, 59. They're not bad scores. So I'm going to give him I'm going to trust him in the challenger lineup this week. Also, didn't have many promising midfielders that I felt confident in. And then I'm going to be going for 2 strikers: Santiago Jimenez, Samu Idio, both having great seasons. Both started this season well. Especially Samu. Look at this, 86 and a 70. Let's hope he can give me some more of them. And I get a 6% bonus on him because he's collection bonus with Necaxa and he's level 6. So 6% bonus is not too shabby. Then it's Contender. Maybe my favorite region. Maybe. Not too certain. Maybe it's my favorite region. But Contender lineups, I've got 3. three contender lineups. This is my main one, my strongest one in Division 1. Castermine in goal, Dusseldorf, POV, we love him at Cruz Azul, the Burgos boys who I've spoken about earlier, and then Jeremy Marquez at Atlas. Didn't have a good game last week, hoping he gets back to his good form. Last week it was a 29 from him, but as we've seen this season with Jeremy Marquez, it's a good score or a bad score. There's been more good scores than bad scores, so let's just hope we go back to these kind of scores. And Atlas have a good fixture. They're playing Pachuca. Pachuca's an okay game. Atlas should do well there. Second lineup is going to be 3 Necaxa cards, the goalkeeper, the defender, and Paradella. I do usually play Brian Garnica with Paradella. He's kind of another midfielder that I like. But since Brian Garnica's suspension, his red card, he's not walked back into that first team. Last week, he didn't play. Have I put him in like a training lineup? I think I put him in a training lineup this week. So he got he was doing really well. 63, 62, 74. Got a red card around about here. So missed the game. And then last week against Santos, he didn't play. He played 27 minutes. So he's not looking like... I mean, last season, he was a great card. 100, 76, 80, 85, 80. This season, he's not hit the ground running. The injury... The red card, didn't help his kind of momentum. And now we've had a few kind of iffy scores, not starting. So I'm losing a bit of faith with him, which is a bit annoying because I did have 5 Necaxa cards that I felt really good about. However, it's early days. Maybe he picks up his form. So in the meantime, I'm just going to be going Paradella, because Paradella, we do feel a lot more confident about. His scores are a lot higher. So my Necaxa stack has kind of gone down to 3. Also, the striker Cambindo, he's not really been giving me good scores as well. He's been giving me 30s, 40s. So the Necaxa stack has been reduced to 3 cards that I feel confident about. The other 2 are gambles that hopefully later in the season get a bit of momentum and can kind of go back to being a 5 Necaxa stack. But fear not, people. In their absence, I'm really excited about these 2 cards. Duvan Vergara left Santos in the summer and went to Colombia. I don't fully understand the Colombian league, but he's playing for the team that are second. He's playing for Sociedad Anónima Deportiva America SA. I can't say I know much about them. All I know is I have him because he fits with my Santos collection. And he's got 100, didn't play, 75, 47. The 47, he played 90 minutes. So he seems like he's in the first team, 90 minutes. For some reason didn't play, and 90 minutes with a goal and an assist. So this is promising for me. He's playing for a team that are second in Colombia, giving good scores. So that with my Santos collection bonus could make him a really good card. So he gives me a 7.5% bonus added on his score. So I'm going to captain him and hope he does really well. And then Brandon Vasquez at Monterrey. I've had him for ages. I've had this card for ages. And as you can see here, I bought him around here where there was a bit of excitement. He moved to Monterrey from MLS. And then it just didn't quite work out for him. He had an okay start here, had a few promising scores, but then just stopped being played, was on the bench and gave me these disastrous scores. So I just forgot about him. I forgot about him. I put him in a few training lineups. I just thought he's a young striker in Liga MX. Maybe it takes him a year or 2 to get used to the league, or maybe he goes back to MLS and his card is useful again later. But last 2 games for Monterrey, a 64 and a 60, which after a sea of substitute appearances and bad scores is very promising. 74 minutes and 69 minutes, a 64 and a 60, that gives me a bit of confidence now. Maybe he's starting to sort of get in that Monterrey first team, get a bit of confidence, maybe some good scores. So with that in mind, they're playing Santos away. I'm kind of putting him in this lineup because I'll probably watch the game. Santos Monterrey. I'll be cheering Santos on. They're my Mexican team. However, I know how leaky that Santos defense can be. And if this guy has played 2, given 2 okay scores, Santos defense is there for the taking, Brandon. It'll be a consolation for me if he scores a lot of goals against Santos. So that's why I'm putting him in that lineup. The other lineup has the Santos goalkeeper and Santos defender, just in case Santos can do well, and the Santos midfielder. And then Cade Cowell, who's away against America. So this lineup I'm a lot less confident about. But Cade Cowell's been doing really well this year. He's got an away fixture at America, which... Away fixtures in Liga MX, I don't think they're as bad in other leagues. So he could do well. And then Villapando, not having the best season, but they're playing Mazatlan at home, which is a good fixture for them. So hoping Juarez can kind of get back to some good form. And then my last lineup is my under-23 lineup. Obel in goal. Wesley Fofana, Chelsea defender. I'd be really impressed with Wesley Fofana. Started the season well. Seems like Fofana and Colwill are going to be the starting Chelsea defenders this year in the Premier League. So Fofana should be rested in the international break. Efren Alvarez, another card who's been playing well in Liga MX for... my mind's gone blank. Where's he gone? Playing for Tijuana. So we look at his scores. He's been doing 79 and a 92 in the last 3 games. So not quite sure if he's going to keep that momentum going. But we have had good scores from him recently. So he does have a peak in him. And he's young. So he's still in the under-23 lineup. And they've got a good fixture. Tijuana Deportivo Toluca should be a good game. He can easily get a good score in that. John Duran is a striker I'm very excited about. I bought him in the Premier League break in the summer, thinking he would leave Aston Villa. He hasn't left Aston Villa, but it seems like he's doing really well. Look at his score, 64, 60, 66. These are not starting. He's been coming off the bench and getting good scores for Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins now might be injured. He's a bit of a fitness doubt for the weekend. So John Duran could start for Aston Villa. I think there's a good chance Duran forces his way into the Aston Villa starting lineup this season and plays with Ollie Watkins. Somehow they make it work, the two of them, or they've got European football this year. One plays in Europe, one plays in the league, or they get rested. I think there's going to be a lot of minutes for Duran at Villa this year. So I'm going to be playing him as my captain in the under-23 league this year, alongside Camille Lesley, who weeks ago I was complaining about. He just can't seem to find any consistency. I can't find under-23 strikers that are consistently delivering. He's now put a 69 and a 74 back-to-back. Maybe that's the sign. Camille Lesley might be a good pick this year for my under-23 forward. Let's see if he can build on that. So that's my lineups for the weekend coming up, guys. Let me know what your thoughts. Let me know any tips you've got. I'm still on the market. I'm always looking for a bargain here and there. If you see a bargain, if someone's injured and you think their price has come down to a good price, that's the kind of cards I look for now. When the season's back up and running, I'm going to be just looking for cards that are injured, cards that are out of form, that might come back in form. That's where I like to look. Let me know what you think, guys. I appreciate all your support in the channel so far. Keep commenting, keep liking, keep subscribing. I'll see you next week. Good luck with your coming game weeks. Peace.